As a fallout of President Tinubu's directive to the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, to end the menace of oil theft threatening the nation's revenue. General Christopher Musa has in turn ordered heads of the security operations in the Niger Delta to put an end to the insecurity that has led to a drop in the daily crude oil production within 2 weeks. General Musa warned military commanders who aid oil thieves to desist, that anyone caught will not be spared. Helena Samedi-Akins has details.
Nigeria, as one of Africa's largest oil producers, loses billions of dollars annually due to oil theft. The theft leads to substantial revenue loss for the government, reducing funds available for development and public services, and also affects the operations of legitimate oil companies, causing production disruptions and increased costs. Here, the Chief of Defense Staff is meeting with heads of security formations in the Niger Delta and stakeholders in the oil and gas sector to discuss ways to curb this economic sabotage. In his opening remarks, he read the Riot Act to the security heads, saying the president has given him a target to stop oil theft in the region.
Days of fighting between services, it's my business, it's my AOR, all that nonsense must stop from today. Our personnel that are taking part in it, giving support to those guys, giving them direction, giving them cover, must stop today. If I arrest any personnel that is doing it, the commander too is in trouble.
After several hours of a closed-door meeting, the media was briefed on the outcome of the meeting.
At the point where if it's either we stop this menace or Nigeria will cease to exist. This is the first time we are seeing CDS, personally coming down with us and engaging, the heads and everybody committing to, ensuring that we protect those key strategic, pipelines.
This effort will bring back production of oil into much higher level. We will meet the expectation of Mr. President to, in the short term, restore production to at least 2 million barrels per day, and ultimately to scale up with improved security, which will bring back confidence. Investors will put capital into our business.
Various measures have been taken to combat oil theft, including increased security, technological solutions like pipeline surveillance and tracking. It is hoped that this new approach will help in no small measure to improve the daily production of Nigerian crude. Helen Osamede-Akins, TVC News, Port Harcourt.
Well, joining us from our Abuja studio, security expert Patrick Agbambu. Good morning, Patrick. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Now, let me begin this way. We've been talking about securing our pipelines and addressing issues, and the government had, engaged the services of private security operatives, Tantita, for instance, to secure the pipelines. And there were a number of Nigerians who have spoken with regards to that, saying there were results, and there are those who are saying they are not getting the desired result, so to speak. But with the president's matching others, does that underscore the fact that not much is being done with regards to addressing this matter of securing our pipelines, ensuring that we get the desired result at the end of the day?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I would support the marching order by Mr. President, and also the Chief of Defense Staff issuing a riot act to the security forces to ensure that there is an increase in production quota. But I want to a little bit look at it more holistically. To the fact that it's not about just issuing the order. What are those factors that has been stealing the Nigerian crude oil? We have to be truthful about these things. We have 2 lines of crude oil being stolen in this country or being taken. One is the local vandalization, the tampering of the pipelines, which everyone is talking about, pipeline security and all that. Then the other one is the loading of this crude oil from the loading terminals which are not accounted for. When you look at the quantities of boats, you find out that the major focus should be on the terminal, the loading terminal, where thousands and millions of crudes are stolen, unaccounted for, because there are factors that helps it, or what I could call the enablers, that has helped it over time, that it becomes, it's now a trade for some people to smile to the bank and the country is bleeding. So while the security forces are getting the marching order to ensure clamp down on the oil vandalization and all that, what is being done on the issue of the loading bay, that is one area that needs to be looked into.
Well, despite previous attempts, to tackle oil theft, the problem continues to, persist, and suggesting that a new approach is actually needed. What do you think they are not doing right, and what exactly would you want to suggest that they should do better? Because we can't keep talking about oil theft year in, year out, or let's say month in, month out, or every day, and it appears like it's still, something that we've not been able to overcome.
Now let's look at it from this factor. There are communities where these oils are located. I want to say that development is lacking in those areas. These people are lacking most of the basic infrastructures that enables one to live a good life. And over time, government had made attempts, what I could say seeming attempt, to try to tackle that by setting up, we have the NDDC, we have the Ministry of Niger Delta, but these sadly have not imparted to the grassroots, to these communities. And the people there feel aggrieved, and they feel that this is our commonwealth, this is our oil, and we are not benefiting from it much. And so they are enabled by that means through some people also who have the knowledge of these oil pipelines to vandalize these pipelines. So that is one of the issues that is causing it. And the other, it's the international oil company, the IOCs. Most times they make promises to these communities, bogus communities, promises, I must say, that they don't even intend to meet. And when at the end of the day these promises are not kept, then these communities feel aggrieved and they resort to either ways of vandalizing this or providing covers to those who are vandalizing all these. And that is on the area of the local vandalization that we're talking about. So there's lack of awareness also that letting these people to know that this is a national assets, not just community or family assets. It's not yet well done in that regard. So these people still believe that it is our product. So we should have access to it, and nobody should disturb us. Until we take care of all these factors, before we can be able to reduce this issue of local vandalization, I said, the security forces can try all they could. But these people, these criminals will continue to have support from the locals, from the communities who pass information to them on the movement of the security forces. That is one on the other side. Then we'll look at, again, the international market. There are countries that are benefiting from these stolen crudes we're talking about. And so they are part of the enablers. The other day during that meeting, the NNPC, the group managing director, was talking about countries and mentioned names, Ghana, Togo, and all that. We know some of these countries that because these stolen crudes come to them at cheaper rates, and they use it to run their refineries and all that. So this also is part of the factors that we're having. I believe that the government at a strategic level, at a diplomatic level, must also look at ways to dissuade or discourage this international trade in our crude oil. And that is one of the biggest factors that fuel this this. And then secondly, is lack of transparency. I will tell you, every day figures are being brandished, but nobody can categorically and imperatively say, this is the figure, this is the correct figure that we are producing, and this is the correct figure that is being lifted, because it has continued to be an issue that is being stressed every day, that we don't have a credible metering system. Nobody knows what is being produced, from the oil producing companies to the loading bays and to the lifting. Nobody knows. The agencies that should support, that should help us to verify some of these figures that is being talked about, the Nigerian Navy, it's not at the loading terminal, so they don't even know what is happening at that point, and it's a big factor. Then another factor again is when you give authority, authority or approval to lift this crude is given to some marketers by the NNPC and the National Upstream Regulatory Commission. They gave, maybe say about 20,000 barrels. A ship of with the capacity of 100,000 barrels comes to load just only 20,000. Who knows how many, what's the quantity that this ship is carrying? And of course, the ship has the approval, authentic approval to load. Well, who knows the number that is being loaded in there? There are people that should be interrogated by the government if we must stop this crude oil stealing. We are playing more emphasis on this local vandalism. Yes, it's bad. It's bad because it, apart from economic loss, it's also causing environmental degradation. But the NNPC is not being truthful to Nigerians. They are not being truthful to the people, to the government of Nigeria. And that is where
How do you mean?
lies.
When you say the NNPC is not being truthful, how do you mean? Because there are Nigerians who are watching and want to understand what you're saying with regards to that. The NNPCL came out and declared a state of emergency, and this is coming on the heels of that. How is it not being transparent or being truthful?
Okay, let me ask, who can verify the figures NNPC is giving? I would want, these are the interrogations that needs to be said. It's one thing to come out with a figure, and it's another thing to confirm that, yes, this figure is genuine. Nobody is there to verify it. It's if the government can set up an agency that could help to verify this. But more importantly, the Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, about 2 months ago, asked the NNPC that they must allow the Nigerian Navy to have access, to be physically present at these loading terminals. But I should speak to today, I believe, I'm sure that no Nigerian Navy has been allowed to do that. And there are some personnel of the Nigerian Navy who are trained to do this. Why is NNPC stopping these people from being there? Because we need to be able to verify these figures. You see, there are so many questions that needs to that demand answers, and that I think that the government must demand from NNPC in terms of the true figures that we are producing and the true figures we are releasing.
Could there be an issue of trust? Agencies not trusting one another to do the needful, perhaps, at the end of the day?
Yeah, of course, I would say it has become a national problem. People not trusting each other, which is right, which is true. We can't run away from it. But we'll have to also look at it from the fact that the statutory arrangement is that if you must lift a crude oil, then the security agencies, the agency that is charged, the national security body that is charged to secure this must know what is being done. You can't hire me as a Nigerian Navy now, for instance, to protect all this, and they don't know what is being loaded and what is being taken out of the country. I'm sure that if we ask the Nigerian Navy, they do not know what actually the true figure is because they don't have it. Their personnel are not there. It's only what the NNPC tells them that they believe. and at the end of the day, enough is not being produced. Then,
but you recall?
Yes,
Go
yes,
ahead.
let me hear.
Go ahead. Land. When you land, I'll ask my question.
Private security companies have been hired to carry out surveillance on the pipeline, which I know that they are doing their work, just like you have said at the opening, and your report has said. Some people have come to give them kudos, while some are saying, how well are they doing it? The question is, how well are they supplying this surveillance, and who are they supplying the surveillance to? Is it to NNPC? Is it to the Nigerian Navy? Then those who have been arrested by the Navy on this private security company, who has the prosecutory rights to prosecute them? The Nigerian Navy, for instance, does not have the right, the power to do that. So they have to pass these suspects to EFCC or to the Civil Defense Corps. And the judiciary is also there. So there are a lot of factors that we need to look into, actually.
Absolutely. My question, you just pointed out some of the things I wanted to talk about, which has to do with the private security arrangement, who were pointing accusing fingers at the Navy for being complicit in what is going on as well. Don't you think it's also a matter that has to be addressed?
Yeah, it's a matter that has to be addressed, and I know that it has been addressed because I believe that when this issue came up earlier in the year, there were several reports to counter some of those allegations that states that when they pointed at some ship, for instance, or some vessels were arrested or were cited to have been carrying crude, the position of those ships were pointed at. The Nigerian Navy has custody of some of those ships, and some of them are already being prosecuted and other by the prosecuting agencies and all that. So these factors are there. These allegations were made, and the answers to these allegations were provided. And since then, we have not heard anything about it. I don't think that the Nigerian Navy will be given any of this intelligence, and they will fold their hands and not do anything. Remember that some time ago, they cited a ship and it was arrested, and that is the first time Nigeria had been able to successfully prosecute one of those stealing our crude oil, and punishments were meted because though they were plead against and all that. These are in the public domain for us to know. But let's face the reality. Nobody is saying if the government policy to hire private security to survey, help provide security, is a government policy, and so it's accepted. But it must be done according to what should be done. There are rules and regulations in the country, and it has to be followed. And one of those things is that when you have intelligence, pass it to those that have the responsibility to carry out the work, and not to be passing out blames or accusations up and down without verification. And when answers are provided, everybody is silent about it. I think that it's time for us to call a spade a spade. Let us actually set up the NNPC. We have countries that has monitoring, digital monitoring of their pipelines, production lines, and to the extent of loading. Why can't NNPC install this digital system that can help us to know what exactly is being produced in this country?
All right, Mr. Agbambo, I have two questions to ask you successively. Well, I'll start with the one you're currently on, which is talking about Navy, ensuring security and all of that, and also some of the vessels that actually come from other countries, the international collaboration, because there's no way they must have been able to get away with this without international collaboration, even collaboration from within. Some of these ships and vessels, they turn off their automatic identification system, that is the AIS. I'm wondering how they're able to locate where they can tap this crude oil from, steal it, and then get onto the waters. Of course, they're always on the waters, and get there, and then turn it off and navigate their way out of the country, out of the shores of Nigeria, to take this out of the country. How do you think they've been able to get away with this to start with?
Yeah, you have indirectly answered that by saying there must be inside connivance within
without
the,
us,
international you producing
without us being able to nip all of these things in the bud before they go away with this.
Like I said, there must be internal collaborators who are aiding all this, and most times these are from the IOCs and some NNPC officials, and I won't excuse some security forces, but I will tell you that in Nigeria today, the Nigerian Navy and also, of course, the Office of National Security Advisor, there is domiciled this Falcon Eye system that monitors movement of ships. And then, so whatever ship that is being flagged, it's been indicated and action is being triggered. Those who are to respond immediately will respond. And that we have seen being done in several cases. Yes, some will off the identification, so it becomes more difficult to identify who they are, but nobody loads without the official approval. That is where the issue is. The official approval is being given. These approvals are being doctored. Some of them are being falsified. But when they provide these official approvals, they load. But the quantity, nobody verifies how many, if they keep to the number the approval that is being given. These are the issues. And once they carry it and they are leaving, nobody can stop them because they have approval to load. Nobody knows the quantity. The security forces, for instance, cannot go in to start checking the forces because the quantity, because they were not allowed in the first instance at the loading terminal to know what is being done. So I think that to help solve all these problems, why the Falcon Eye, hello?
Yeah, carry on. We can hear you.
Hello? Yeah, why the Falcon Eye is active to monitor movement, those that have been identified. I believe that there must be transparency at the loading terminal to know what actually that is being taken out of the country. This is where the problem is. Those who have the approval to load, how many is being loaded and what is being done. The production oil companies themselves that produces, what are they producing? How do we monitor the flow of this product from the production platform to the loading terminals? These are the things where we will need technology to be able to monitor it and prevent being tampered. And no local can tamper any of these pipelines without the knowledge without the guidance of those.
Yeah, sorry to butt in your line of thoughts, but I just want to quickly squeeze in this question because, earlier on when you were answering the question from Veronica, you're talking about NNPC and transparency, even though some people believe that NNPC and transparency cannot exist in one sentence. But the company will disagree with you because they will say that they annually carry out, their audit, the auditing of the company. In 2018, they did it. In 2019, they did it. In 2020, they did it. In fact, where they recorded a profit of 1.6 trillion naira. So are you saying that this audit thing that is being done with the NNPC has not been fruitful enough or been transparent enough?
Sorry, maybe I'll put it back to you. The auditors audit based on figures that are provided to them and the trades. And who provides these figures to them? The NNPC provides these figures to them. And so that is where the issue is. We are talking about figures of crudes that are being stolen out of the country at the terminals. Who knows how the right figures that are being taken out? Only the NNPC knows, and there's no other body that knows. That is what I'm talking about. There must be a body that should be able to verify these figures and be sure that if you say we are producing 1.3 million barrels per day, how many is being taken out of the country?
All right, quickly, Patrick, because of our time, I need to quickly ask this question because of our time. I believe the point has been made with regards to that, but quickly, let's look at the people. You have mentioned that the people of the Niger Delta feel that this oil is theirs, and that is why we see what's going on, especially local vandalism and attacking some of these pipelines and all of it. We have seen governments come and go, speak with these people, perhaps address them one way or the other, especially their elders who go to visit governments in power. Do you think that perhaps there's the need to change approach and perhaps address matters of the mindset now so they can understand that this asset belongs to the whole of Nigeria and not just them? How do we address that?
This I did capture earlier on when I said there's need for an awareness that this product, this crude oil, is our national asset, not just a community or a family asset. The government have that responsibility to carry out this awareness campaign. The Chief of Defense Staff, when he was speaking to this, he talked about the need to give back to these communities. And that is the biggest, we need to be able to buy them. The government needs to buy them. They are not, it's not a punishment that they are producing, that their land is producing this crude. It should be a blessing to them. They should feel being blessed by this, and that is what they are asking for. But unfortunately, as we speak, successive governments have tried what they think can help to solve this. Both the IOCs have tried to, they have local liaison officers that the persons from the communities who liaise with oil companies. There have been a lot of lack of transparency even among the leadership in the oil-producing communities, and that the commoners, the locals, are not getting the benefit of this crude oil. I think that we need to change the orientation of everybody, both in terms of them accepting that this is a national asset, and to also their leaders being truthful to their people, to their communities.
Okay, that's a fine place to leave the conversation. Patrick Agbambu, security consultant, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And still ahead on TVT Breakfast, what are the benefits and